Hi, I'm Sanjali Ganesh, a digital media specialist for the STEM Youth Career Development Program. Welcome to the 17th episode of the STEM Interviews.
Hi, I'm Divyanka, currently working as a program lead at Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, and let's find about my background soon.
Yes. So let's get started. So, can you take us through your background, where you started, how you got to where you are now, etc.?
Sure. So I'm Divyanka. I have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from India. Right from my childhood, I think I knew I wanted to be an engineer, wanted to make products, wanted to be specifically in the automobile industry. And that's why I pursued a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Having done that, I felt the need for a global exposure and so decided to come here to the United States to pursue a master's in aerospace engineering. I know it doesn't line well with the automobiles, but then I wanted to try different industries and then make up my mind whether automotive is still the route to go. So did my bachelor's in mechanical, master's in aerospace engineering, and then while looking for jobs, I found a job for a CFD engineer at Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. Worked in that profile for 5 years, where I was mostly involved in ensuring that the engines that we make do not burn, do not get overheated. During that, I knew that I wanted a more global exposure towards the whole product development, and that's when I applied for an internal role for the program lead, and worked as a program. And I'm currently working as a program lead at Fiat Chrysler, developing the next generation products for them. What I won't tell you now. It's just a bit confidential, but coming up soon.
Yes, it already sounds amazing. And in regards to how you entered mechanical engineering, I know you briefly touched on that, but could you tell us what that is?
Yeah, so to talk more about what mechanical engineering is, and it's not how some of you might have perceived it. It's not about just fixing your vehicle, fixing your car. No, it's about getting the concept right, trying to understand what exactly look like, what should be the internal details. For example, what would your powertrain look like? What is your engine? If it's a battery, what kind of battery does your vehicle need? What kind of transmission goes in? How do they merge well? How are they tested? And then finally, before launching it, trying to make sure it's good enough in comparison to not only your competitors, but also what your customers would generally want. So doing a thorough research about your customer preference and then delivering exactly what they need is what a mechanical engineer would do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. And so what piqued your interest in automobiles and like why automobiles?
Yeah, so I've grown up in a city which is almost similar to Detroit, where automobiles were everywhere. Like one of the giants from India, Tata Motors, is from Pune, and that's where I grew up. So seeing automobiles having been involved in that industry right from childhood was something that intrigued me a lot. And then seeing the evolution of the vehicles as I grew up, I saw that the whole industry itself grew. The vast changes that happened with the kind of vehicle powered that we had, and then now the latest technology moving towards hybrids, electric, autonomous. Everything's so interesting and fascinating that I've really liked this industry right from the start. But then currently I would like to stay focused in this industry just because of the vast changes it's seen and how the industry is adapted to the change so well, and what the future holds for everyone in that industry. That's something that's really fascinated me.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And yeah, that's just amazing. And could you just walk us through, like, as a program lead right now, what do you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, so my role basically involves making sure that the product launch goes safely. So I work directly with the main product owner, who's basically in our industry called a chief engineer. So getting feedback from him, what exactly needs to be done in that particular product, what are my responsibilities, then trying to develop a nice work plan with my team, trying to understand what exactly are the shortcomings, what needs to be done in order to launch the product, and then making sure everything goes smoothly. regular updates, not only to the chief engineer, but also to the main people in the organization, like my director and vice president of the organization, and coordinating activities, not just with the engineers in the United States, but I have a very well working global team with teammates situated in Italy, India, Brazil, and now with France. So that's something that I do on a regular basis, which really keeps me motivated, working very well with them and ensuring that the deliverables are met and reported to the main stakeholders in the organization.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm sure there have been many steps throughout your life. And so, how did you decide to become the program lead at FCA?
Yeah, so starting with, I was working just as a product engineer, pretty focused on only one aspect of the product development, which was basically ensuring that the cooling requirements were met. But then I knew that this was pretty focused and I wanted to get a more general understanding of all the steps that go in for the product development and not be restricted to one. So that's when I asked if I could diversify my skill set. At the same time, I was also doing my MBA. So that helped me gain a better exposure of my people skills. So when I approached, I was given a small project to see if I would fit well into the whole program lead, and trying to see if I could diversify my horizons, talk to people, was able to get the deliverables established. So worked on a pilot project, and then surprisingly, I really liked that job a lot. So I approached if I could do that on a full-time basis. And then I was given the opportunity to work on it on a full-time basis. And then since then, there's no turning back.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so is there, what do you like about your current role as the program lead? Of course, there's so many things, right? But what is a few of the key things?
So one of the most important thing as a program lead for me is seeing the product actually go from concept phase all the way to the launch. So you've always had those dreams that you want to fulfill. And then once it's fulfilled, that satisfaction that you get, that's what I get when my products actually get launched, get great reviews from the customers. So that's the most satisfying and the best experience of a program lead. Along with that, as I said, like my day-to-day meetings, my day-to-day job responsibilities include me talking to a lot of people. So trying to understand what exactly are they working on, what are their needs, what are they missing that can help them basically do better at that job. So that's something that I really like. Leading a cross-functional team, daily crisis issues, if there are any, then trying to come up with solutions, and then ensuring that once the changes are implemented in the product, testing is done and the tests don't fail. That's something that I really like on a day-to-day basis. So if I were to summarize, one thing that I really like is obviously seeing the product go to launch. And second thing, the day-to-day interactions that I get with so many people with diverse backgrounds and diverse thinking.
Yeah, of course. And now going to the other side of the spectrum, is there anything that you dislike?
So in the current scenario where we are all working virtually, the thing that I really don't like is the whole virtual meeting experience, because everyone's so busy with their meetings, everyone's calendar looks so busy. So it's very difficult to find a time where I could just talk to them, try to understand their issues or try to express my issues. So that's one thing that I really don't like, and it's specifically because of the whole virtual experience, which things that could have been done in person, just stopping by someone's desk now takes me a few hours, which could be a bit I'd say annoying in the virtual world.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sure with the pandemic, things have been very limited, and I'm sure that probably has limited travel for you as well. So have you ever gotten the chance to travel for work?
For me, no. And I took most of the responsibility once the pandemic hit. So for me, there was no travel. The only travel I probably get to is my work, where I can see if the product is being tested, like how is it being tested, and if things are going smoothly. But apart from that, no travels for me.
Would you ever like to travel for work at some point in time?
I would love to, especially to the manufacturing sites where it's I can see exactly what's going on, that would be really good. So I'm looking forward to that whole experience once everything gets back to normal.
Yeah. And you've mentioned that you've had so many past things leading up to this, right? So did you do any internships that helped you succeed in your past roles?
For me, I did an internship in India where I was a manufacturing intern. So as I said, like actually seeing the product being manufactured was satisfying. So that's one of the experiences that has really helped me. At the University of Michigan, where I did my master's, I didn't do an industry internship as such, but I was more focused on the lab experience because I just wanted to see how things work in the lab kind of an environment and see if I wanted to do a PhD as well in the domain. So I had more of a lab experience than actually an industry experience here in university before I actually started working at in my current job.
Yeah, very cool. And so what is the importance of mechanical engineering in your opinion?
For me, that's a very difficult question, to be honest, to answer, just because, I mean, let's just be honest, like on a day-to-day basis, there are many things that mechanical engineering has made me think differently about. Like, as I said, like it's not just about repairing your vehicles, but then in general about the whole experience of product, seeing what are the basic tolerances, the teeny tiny details that go into your vehicle, thinking about it. What's the whole logic? Will it last for the whole customer experience? Is it making too much noise? How does it fare against your competitors? That's everything that I learned throughout in my mechanical engineering while I was doing my bachelor's, master's, and also during my current work experience. So, mechanical engineering did teach me things to think about things differently, which I wouldn't have done probably with a different experience. And to be honest, why I chose mechanical engineering over others was just because I wanted to go the easier route and not think about coding, which is something which I never liked. So mechanical engineering, if you're not a coder and still want to do engineering, yeah, mechanical engineering would be a good route. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question, but it's just that it's a very difficult question for me, I guess, to justify why one should do a mechanical engineering degree. It's just about your preference. And for me, I knew that coding was something I didn't like. So mechanical engineering it was.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you touched briefly on what you disliked about your current role, but what are some of the challenges you faced in your current or past roles in engineering?
So I think it's worldwide known that you won't see a lot of girls in mechanical engineering, and my case was no different. In India, when I was doing my bachelor's, in a batch of about 110 people, there were only 6 girls. So though it's not something that stops you from doing that degree, it obviously does play a bit of a role, just because you won't see a lot of girls in those. But then apart from that, I don't think so there was any difficulty as such that I faced while doing my bachelor's or master's. Equal opportunity everywhere. I like the whole experience. It was just that I wish there were more girls than we had in the past.
Yeah. And out of your current job and your past roles, like what would you consider to be some of the rewarding things from them?
Yeah, the most rewarding thing, as I said, was obviously seeing your team work in harmony, ensuring that the product is not failing in the test, gets launched in the vehicles, and it's preferred by the customers, and then it receiving so many awards. Like this year, we, as a company itself, like Chrysler did get Fiat Chrysler did get a lot of awards, which was very rewarding to know that, yeah, you work for an organization that has these strong missions, and then they're continuously working hard towards it, and then succeeding it is something really rewarding. So, yep, that's something that I really like. Not just about the whole concept, but about seeing things work smoothly and then getting launched and being liked by the people that matter most to you.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've worked amongst many, many people because after all, it's all a team effort, right? So
Yeah.
among the people you've worked with or worked for, who do you admire and why?
Well, if talking more about the industry point of view, then I would say one lady that I really admire the most, and I'll be a bit biased just because I really look forward to working with women. So the lady that I really admire the most is Mary Barra, breaking all the traditions, being a CEO of a big giant like General Motors, succeeding in that role. I've really looked forward to her within Fiat Chrysler. I think I would just give a big thank you to my entire team because they never discriminated or there was never a bias towards one person over the other. It was always about team building, working in harmony, getting everything done well, and just ensuring that everyone succeeds in their job, not just that a few handful are picked and promoted. It's just a great teamwork.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely very, very true. And if I'm a middle or high school student interested in pursuing mechanical engineering, what advice would you give me to get started?
Yeah, so one of the most important things is just trying to understand if that's something that you really think you're comfortable with. It's not just about math. People tend to get nervous if things are not going their way. And I wouldn't say it's an easy stream to get into. It's really difficult. And the challenges just grow on once you get into the field. So if I would say just try and get an internship done, see for yourself if you really like it, talk to a lot of people, learn from their experiences before making a decision if you really want to get into mechanical engineering, because as I said, it's not easy as such, and it takes a lot of commitment, but if you can do it, I would say it's one of the most rewarding experiences.
Yeah. And what advice would you give someone to be successful in that specific field? Any like pearls of wisdom?
Yeah, so again, just look out for mentors. Every organization has really good mentorship program. Always look for mentors. Even while you're in school, look for mentors who worked in that industry. Learn from them what exactly works, what doesn't work. Do your homework. And as such, I would say don't get intimidated, especially in the first 6 to 8 months. There's a learning curve. That learning curve goes on for some time. I would say give yourself at least 1.5 years before you feel comfortable. So don't get just scared or give up immediately. Things go slowly, but then you'll really enjoy it if you give it some time. So I would say like at least give 1.5 years to yourself before you can decide for yourself if this is a stream that you want to follow or not.
Yeah. And what is your advice to parents of students wanting to pursue a role in mechanical engineering?
Yeah, one of the most important things that I would say, yes, there are a lot of people attracted towards comp science, electrical engineering, just because of probably the companies that are there in that stream, or basically the money that you get or the location, for example, Bay Area. But mechanical engineering is equally rewarding, especially now with the whole diversification going towards EVs. The stream is revolutionizing, and it's a really interesting industry to be in. And with this current scenario where everyone's switching from a traditional engine-based powertrain to an electric or an autonomous vehicle, I would say this is the perfect time to get into it, because it's just really interesting. Like with the whole switch going on for now, you'll get to learn a lot more, and your kid will learn a lot more and grow a lot more if they decide to enter the industry now.
Yeah. And is there any advice that you could give to your past self? And if you could do something differently, what would it be?
Yeah, so probably my past self, the one thing that I would have done is I was someone who really liked IC engines just because of the noise it made and the thrill that it gave me. One thing I would have really taught myself was to take a few more of the electrical vehicle classes that I didn't do in the past, just because I felt industry wouldn't switch that dramatically in a few years. So one thing would be that. But apart from that, now even at my work, I'm getting to learn every day. So it's not like my learning stopped a few years ago. I'm still learning, but then probably having a stronger base back then would have helped me a lot more than what I'm going through now.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to girls specifically interested in mechanical engineering?
Yep. Don't get intimidated as such. As I've mentioned, there'll be a lot of mentors, especially if you decide to come into the industry, because the girls already in the industry realize the worth, and they'll be there to not only support you but also help you grow. Like, I've been fortunate that at Fate Chrysler there's tons of groups, affinity clubs, for example, Women's Alliance, SWE, Society of Women Engineers, which organize these events regularly for ladies, where it's there to motivate you, help you grow. And again, though it's said Women's Alliance, is always also that men are also allowed to take part, and then it's a nice working collaborative environment. So don't get intimidated. Even if they say there are less number of girls, there are just enough for you to grow, and you won't feel left out, or you won't feel like there are not enough opportunities for you to grow just because you are a girl.
Yeah. And are there any goals that you have for the future?
Yeah, so currently I work as a program lead, so I'm more focused on engineering aspect for it for now. But then moving forward, I want to be the main product owner, where I get to launch and take complete ownership of launching either a vehicle or just a powertrain system. And that's what I'm working hard towards, and hopefully in the next few years I'll be able to achieve that.
Yes, I'm sure you will be able to. Well, thank you, Ms. Divyanka De, for your time, and thank you to our viewers. Be sure to check out our other episodes and subscribe to our channel, and stay up to date with all our upcoming events and activities by following us on our social media and signing up for our email list as well. Check the description for all links, and we will see you next time.